told you, MP3 files won't cut it. I want 24-bit, 96 kHz uncompressed WAV files. I'll call you back. Hello, didn't see you there. Now you can see I'm sitting at this rather impressive looking mixing desk. This is the School of Sound Recording in Manchester, where I actually teach audio post-production. While you're here, let me just show you something. Completely pointless, but it looks good. There you go. Serves no real practical purpose, but it's an impressive light display anyway. But today, the thing that I'm particularly interested in isn't actually in the studio, it's up on the roof. So we're just heading up to the roof because today there's a promotional shoot going on for WD-40, and strangely enough, they've got Daniel Abaka.
Action, Daniel! Yeah, we're making a film for WD-40. The story is that this chap has got a filthy barbecue. His mate's arriving in 5 minutes and it's rush hour, so you couldn't drive as fast as someone could get across the rooftops using Parkour. And action!
Fastest and most spectacular, we kind of wanted to use Parkour as a vehicle to kind of convey this kind of journey that a person takes to kind of, come to the aid of his friend really. So perfect opportunity to use Daniel Abaka, one of the country's best kind of free runners to do this.
And we chose Daniel because he's the best there is. Really.
Yeah, he does things that other people that I've not seen do. Kind of impressed us. So he was a perfect man for it really.
Action!
You have that kind of same feeling of the first time you see him on video. When you see him do stuff in real life, it's just like the wow factor all over again.
You don't quite believe it when you see it on film. When you actually see him flip off a building, you just think this guy is a superhero.
Yeah, he is. Well, that's kind of what it's like, isn't it? It's like his friend needs a WD-40, and he's kind of in a sense a superhero. He's on top of a roof and he gets there quick. All these kind of spectacular flips and jumps that kind of normal person wouldn't be able to do really.
So we're just up on the roof. It's fairly elaborate. Shooting on the red digital cinema camera today. You can see that we've got this, what looks like a zip line, but it's basically a cable for the camera to run along, and should certainly provide for some interesting shots. So basically we're just trying to work out some movements, and then hopefully the camera should glide perfectly smoothly along it. That's the idea anyway.
Just seeing Daniel do ordinary things, like everyone else goes up the ladder and he runs up the wall. He comes down a fire escape, just drops the last 40 feet. It's just an amazing, spectacular talent that he has.
We're here in Manchester. We're doing a viral for WD-40, and it's going really, really well. Earlier today, I took a little bump to the ankle on the crash mat, which is pretty devastating because that's how it always happens. But apart from that, the shoot's gone really, really well. I've really enjoyed working with everyone. Just been a great energy, great vibes. Always good to see fellow traceurs.
And I know you were quite keen not to fake any movements, weren't you? You were quite keen to make sure.
Well, that's it. I mean, the thing is, I despise those type of shots that you see in commercials where you see someone do a jump and then it cuts to a separate landing, If you're going to do it, it's got to be real, it's got to be raw. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to do any of that a lot of that type of stuff today that I would have liked to have done in mine, based on the injury on the crash mat. But apart from that, I think it's gone well. We've managed to pull it out of the bag at the end of the day. I gave my ankle a little rest for about 5 minutes, and then after that I was fine, just back on my feet. Yeah, just got to take it in each stride, I guess.
Brilliant. Thanks, Danny.
No worries, man.
Cheers.
It's good to meet you.
As you know, we're big advocates of conditioning and natural bodyweight exercises, but when you do want to lift weights, we personally think it's better to find weights in the natural environment, and there's none better than a cantilever bridge.
As you'll probably see, this bridge is quite a lot of fun to lift up. I mean, it's a bit kind of strange coming across something like this and thinking like, oh, why don't we try lifting it? The idea came basically from my dad. There's a very similar bridge to this just around the corner, but it's still in use and it's all locked down, and it has a winch on it. My dad basically told me to try and hang on the winch and it would probably lift it just by hanging on this wire. And sure enough, like me hanging on the wire just with one hand, sort of raised this bridge out a little bit, and we tried to go to the other end and lift it up, but it was all locked down. It was about 2 weeks later, we found this one. This one's all abandoned, the winch is gone, the locks have gone, and we're free to lift. It's awesome. I've never seen anything like it, and probably never find anything like it again. It's freaking cool. bit of a technique to this. Like, it's not too heavy. It's probably about, I don't know, one person's weight maybe. But it's the inertia of everything. Like, it's really hard to get moving, but once you're moving, you got to keep the momentum going. So you basically start with a bounce. It's good. As you hear, you pause for effect. Just lifting up a bridge, it's fine.
In Manchester, we've got quite a broad variety of practitioners in terms of ages and backgrounds, and one question which people do ask fairly regularly, both on YouTube and on our forums, is am I too old to start practicing parkour? And I think, you know, there's no definite answer to that, because if you want to practice, then there's always something that you can do that's within your own capabilities. And one person who's recently started practicing with us in Manchester is Mike. He's 37, so we're going to just hear a few things from him about his approach to training.
Well, originally I remember seeing the Jump London film years and years ago, and I thought I'd really love to be able to do that. I'd really love to try parkour. But at the time I was probably about 30 years old, and I thought, no, I'm too old. I wish I'd started that when I was younger, because I'd be really good. And I kind of totally forgot about it. But it was probably like a year ago, I was looking on YouTube and I came across the Nature of Challenge, and I realised there was an active community of people training parkour in Manchester. So I came along to one of the training sessions and I've been training ever since. There's some things that take a lot longer to learn, just to generally get the muscle strength and tendons. I don't quite strengthen up as quick, and I probably won't do as many daring things as the younger guys. The younger guys might do much bigger jumps than me, and with my age I sort of hold back and that sort of thing. I don't get any serious injuries, it's just minor little strains and muscle soreness, and there's probably a reason why professional footballers and boxers stop training at probably 35, 37, because you just can't perform at the same level as a younger person. But there's still plenty you can achieve. I've seen guys like running marathons that are in the 60s and 70s, so there's plenty of things you can do in parkour. You don't necessarily have to be really young. Once you start training parkour, I used to go to a gym, and I considered myself quite strong compared to some of my friends who didn't train at all. But until I started training parkour, it's like a whole new level of strength, because it's all body weight, and you have to be much more conscious of your weight as well, because your weight matters when it comes to climbing up a wall. Whereas in a gym, you can simply lift a heavy object, and you kind of get into a routine where it becomes easy. Gym training 2-3 times a week, but in parkour there's so much variety. Every part of the body is really pushed to the limit. So I've completely changed my diet and cut back on obvious bad things like alcohol. I'm not really a smoker, so that's not been a problem. But I can really feel the benefits in my health since I've been training.
Yes! That's awesome! Yeah, that's it. Something which I think is often overlooked in parkour in general is just climbing. So let's say you encounter a wall. In a lot of situations where on a small wall with a decent run up, you can probably use a wall run technique, for example, to get up it. But on larger walls, or where you maybe don't have anything like the same amount of run up, then it really does pay to be able to climb it. And that's what we've been practicing recently, you know. Quite often we'll just go out, have a look around the environment, and you'd be surprised how much climbing potential there is. You know, a variety of different climbing challenges, from ones which are relatively close to ground level, which are mainly technical, and the challenge with these is often just finding the handholds and the footholds, and also it's partly down to endurance. For example, when you're trying to do a traverse over a certain amount of distance, you know, it really starts to burn in your forearms. So I suppose it's building the endurance as much as the technique as well with that kind of thing. And also some walls are maybe reasonably simple to climb, but it's a question of knowing where the handholds are. And there's one example at Castlefield near where we train, where the climb itself isn't too difficult, but it took us probably 10 or 15 minutes the first time we went there, simply to find the handholds. But once we knew them, it's not too bad. So whilst we're not experienced climbers, I think it is good to build these skills, because if you think about what the main objective of parkour is, it's to be able to overcome all obstacles, and so climbing should really form a significant part of that. And in a city like Manchester, where you've got a real mixture of architecture, both old and new, it really does present some interesting climbing opportunities.
To me, I'd say it's a fundamental skill, because I think a lot of people are focused on kind of traversing horizontal ground, but particularly in an emergency situation, I think to know how to climb or to get to a higher point of vantage where possibly other people might not be able to get to is quite important. And particularly some of the dynamic upper body techniques, they just really help your overall movement, particularly for climb-ups and stuff. I've worked quite a lot on dynamic strength. Now I just want to maybe just look for some new scary climbs for me to push my nerves a bit, really.
We tend to explore the environment a little bit, find some climbing potential, and initially, we might think this wall maybe isn't climbable, and the techniques necessary to get up that particular obstacle are not always readily apparent to begin with. But through practice and through, a bit of kind of creative thinking, usually over time you can get up a good proportion of the walls in the city.
And there's all sorts of different reactions you get. Some, obviously the negative ones, and people who sort of ignore and act as if it's not really happening. But then you've got people who probably have done some sort of climbing, and they sort of recognise techniques, or they can see how difficult something must be. So they tend to be more appreciative. But there's plenty of opportunities in the urban environment. As a rock climber might really be doing it on a real rock face, whereas we're specialising in sort of urban climbing, really.
The climb that we do out of the pit, you can do it like multiple ways. You can either kind of like shimmy up against the wall, or you can choose a much harder way of doing it. So that, there's very small indentations in the wall that you can use to traverse along. And it's really quite difficult at times, and it does test your finger strength, because you are leaning out from the wall. And the last time I was doing it, as I was climbing out, I crossed my arms over and my shoulder couldn't take the weight, and so it dropped. But despite the injury, despite the fact that I hurt, the next time I did it, I was able to adapt the way that I moved. I was able to adapt my muscles in order to be able to take the strain. And you get that in climbing more often than you do in more dynamic movement, because you have more time to think. If you take a lot of time to rest with it and just think about how you're actually traversing it, it can be a lot more taxing, but I know, maybe a lot more meditative in the way that you tackle the problem.
Just running through a park, because we've heard that there's a protest going on about grapefruit. So I'm just going to find out why these people are so against grapefruit.
Grapefruit vodka! Grapefruit vodka! Grapefruit vodka! Grapefruit vodka!
So tell me what this protest is all about.
It's all about grapefruits and how ridiculous they are. They're hard to open, they don't taste good, and they're ridiculous. I hate them. Everything about them.
So what do you hope to achieve today?
Well, Clegg said he'd make grapefruits easier to open and tastier, but he hasn't. Get them Tories out! All these police think grapefruit should be hard to open, and shit. It's ridiculous.
Grapefruit should be hard to open and shit.
The grapefruit!
At the moment we're just looking at this movement over here. It's one of those really infuriating things, to be honest. Basically what we're trying to do is grab hold of this supporting beam here, and with a kind of a sideways dyno, I suppose you could describe it, trying to get the top of the wall. I like this kind of thing because I suppose one thing that you often see in parkour videos is just the final successful movement, but I've been trying this anyway, on and off for the last couple of weeks, and I've not actually managed to get it. So I thought it might be interesting just to show you the process of actually failing at something and just repeatedly trying it again. Try not to make it too tedious, but basically the idea is hanging onto here, The objective is to swing sideways and try and get to the top. Because my arms are not particularly long, finding it really difficult and I haven't managed to get it yet. Give it a shot. It's just a question of keeping trying.
About time. Fucking hell. It's easy. Dead easy. So I found that what I was doing wrong at the beginning is I was swinging into it just using upper body and not really using my legs to pop off the wall. So when I eventually swung up, took an extra step, which gives me like an extra 2 inches and I can catch the top. So that's the trick.
Shall I give it a go?
I think you should.
Okay. No, okay. Next part of the video. We've actually come back another day, as you saw. I just did it. It's just that what I found with this particular movement is it's really about, obviously your right hand is on the cylindrical support section and your left hand is on that level kind of ridge bit underneath the beam, and it's as much about pulling with the left hand as it is with the right, so you've got to really treat it almost like a dyno type movement and really put the effort into pulling with your left hand so you can actually reach the top. And as you saw, I just managed to get it. So this is kind of the culmination of repeatedly coming back over the period of, you know, a few months, trying it periodically. And literally what you just saw was the first time I've accomplished it.
What's funny as well, I mean, last time we were here, it hadn't been raining previously. So we were able to swing over here, but now we've got this huge wet patch that's trickled down. As soon as you put your feet on it, you lose your footing.
Yeah.
So we've actually been forced over here. It's kind of like nature has helped us. I finally finished the move.
The only good grapefruit is a smashed grapefruit. That's not going to be bothering anyone anymore.
Well, it's New Year's Day, and it's a New Year's challenge. I'm going to attempt to traverse across this bridge. I've never done it before, so it's the first time. I've probably done a short bridge half the distance previously, so it's I'm a little bit on edge because I may just fall in the water.
What are your main concerns?
Just running out of energy as I get near the end, because that will be just so, you know, annoying just to get like a metre or two away and then falling into that freezing cold water.
Okay. Well, you've got the head camera, so we're going to get some shots from your perspective.
Okay.
So when you're ready, just, you know, give it a go.
Kind of no return. It's getting harder.
So, a successful trip across the bridge then?
Yeah, I'm very pleased, yeah. It did get a little bit ropey towards the end. I was genuinely getting tired, and I really had to just try not to swear too much. But as soon as I got halfway, I felt I could do it. It's like you either completed or fail. It's not like going so far on a run or a wall. It's either you can do it or you can't, really. But it really did start to dig into my hands near the end as well. But I quite enjoyed it.
Every Sunday we come to this little gymnastics centre, and whilst it's not really parkour in any sense of the word, you know, it's more obviously gymnastics. We'll also incorporate some extra conditioning as if we don't do enough, and it's just really an opportunity for people to work on whatever it is that they particularly want to work on in this environment, and just to build a different set of skills which you might not otherwise be able to build training in the outdoor environment.
Yeah, working on cat passes right now, and also working on wall spins and stuff I just wouldn't have the confidence in doing outside initially. When I initially started parkour, I was about 18 stone, about 17 stone, 12 pounds it was. And even though I was training Tuesdays, Thursdays and on the Sundays here at the gym, I just wasn't losing the weight. I felt myself getting stronger, but I just didn't feel myself getting any faster. So I've been like on eating sensibly, not eating too late, eating stuff like cottage cheese, got rid of all the kind of fat food and all that kind of stuff. So I've dropped just over 2 stone in weight. I feel a lot better for it and stuff. And yeah, I just hope to continue the whole healthy eating and everything else.
In the gym, I've been doing a lot of training, doing like flips and cat passes and stuff I'm a bit apprehensive about trying outside, because obviously try a flip outside and land on your head, it's game over, but in here you can just get up and do it again, so it's good for that really, and to build your confidence.
One of the good things about the gym is that people practice a complete broad range of skills. You know, we've got people practicing acro balance, we've got people practicing stuff on the beams, and everybody's got their own thing, you know, and it's just such a mixture of different skills really, and that's the thing that I really like about training in the gym.
When I started parkour, I never used to care about form. My mentality was just to get something first, get it controlled and get it, I don't know, make it a little bit bigger and better, I guess. Then work on form later, it was always something that I've got lots of time to work on. And it's the worst thing ever. Like, once you learn something, you just cannot get out of the habit. As an example of that is, when I land, I have my feet slightly turned out, and my knees go forwards in the landing, but my ankles are slightly further out, which is natural. But because I've practiced it so much, the inside of my legs got stronger than the outside of my leg, the outside of my thigh. So that emphasises this and just pushes it even further. And now there's quite a big angle between where my ankle points and where my knee points. It's not a good thing, and I've tried so hard to correct it. It's very, very hard these days. The guys that start now, they all progress very well. They all train in better ways than we did when we started, so they have a better chance of doing it.
It's been great to come back. I haven't trained for about 2 years because I haven't moved down to Oxford, and everybody else has improved around me, but I still find that I've got a real passion for training, and everybody's really helpful in getting you back and started into it. Training flips is the biggest challenge I think I've ever had, because every time you come to it, I find that I have to get over the fear of doing it. It's like a feeling like in the middle of your chest, and it's just telling you, don't do it. It's a bad idea, you're going to hurt yourself. And every time you do it and you finally get over it at once, then it's absolutely fine. There's nothing to be worried about if you have the confidence to do it. And it's one of those things where if you just do it, it's fine. You hesitate, it comes apart on you, and it really is a confidence thing. But the great thing about it is having friends around you to help you out and build that confidence, and just knowing that you'll get there.
So,
oh, my penis. I'm not going to do that again. It's really going to hurt in later life.
we couldn't go any further in this video without introducing this crazy character called Han.
Parkour!
He's from Malta, but he's also spent some time growing up in Thailand. No one's entirely sure of where he came from. He comes to the conditioning sessions. He's got this motto, actually, which is, "Come on, guys, let's finish the weekend."
Come on, guys, let's finish the weekend.
Usually, though, he says it on a Tuesday evening. I don't know what it means, and I'm not entirely sure that he knows what it means either. Han follows this diet called the paleo diet. Sometimes it's referred to as a caveman diet, and basically it's designed to be returned to the original way of eating. So eating uncooked meats, eating fruit in the natural form, and he follows it pretty much to the letter.
With good diet, you get disease free in your body and you not get sick. So yeah, I prefer the fruits with the skin, and like this banana. I know it's very old, but I enjoy it. Eat it. I know people think are disgusting, but you know, I enjoy eating this, not because I want to be a different, because I enjoy what I'm doing right now. Just like chocolate. Wow, so sexy.
Out of all the people who practice parkour in Manchester, Han is possibly the most crazy.
I know you can't say crazy, but yeah, I'm crazy.
Parkour is good for your hamstrings.
I don't care.
If there's one thing that Han absolutely loves, it's conditioning. You know, Tuesday evenings when we do conditioning, he's like a machine that knows absolutely no bounds. You know, he'll do so many reps of something and he won't stop. When everybody else is tired, he'll just continue. I know that I do a lot of conditioning, you know, some of the other guys do a lot of conditioning, but Han just takes it to the next level. Recently, the canal was completely frozen over, and there was a time, yeah, the temperature dropped to maybe minus 10 degrees Celsius, and it was safe to walk on it. A couple of weeks later, though, it was wafer thin. It could barely take the weight of a human. Did Han care? No. Han walked on the canal, he even did some quadrupedal movement on the canal. Crazy stuff. I didn't really have any music that was suggestive of Malta or Thailand, so I just chose this track, which I thought sounded funny.
Let's finish the weekend.
One thing which I did want to speak about, which a few people on YouTube have inquired about, is the flag. For some reason, this in particular seems to generate a lot of interest and everybody wants to try it. So I would say to people, don't try and skip ahead of yourself in your training. You know, the flag is quite a difficult thing to do. And so the strange thing that I found is that some people who maybe can't even do a pull-up or can't even do a muscle-up find themselves wanting to do the flag, you know. So think about how you actually want to train. Don't just try and do something because you think it looks spectacular. Do it because you're at a stage in your training where you're ready to do that and it's a challenge for you. Having said that, I will talk you through some of the basics of how I personally went about training for the flag. So here you can see a shot of me demonstrating how I first went about doing the flag. So you can see that my upper arm is bent and my feet are actually pointing upwards. This is actually easier at first because your body isn't fully extended, and so the centre of gravity is closer to the bar, making it much easier to hold the position. Secondly, I would suggest a slight extension of this, still keeping your upper arm bent to start off with. Try lowering yourself down over time progressively until eventually your lower arm should remain straight, by the way, until eventually your upper arm is still bent but your body is in a more horizontal position, and this is a good natural progression from that first initial stage. The intention obviously with the flag is to ultimately get your arms completely straight, as you can see in this footage, and your body as horizontal as possible. Now you will, if you look closely at this footage, you will spot the fact that my feet are probably slightly below the horizontal, which I'm aware of. That's something which I'm working on at the moment, but it's, you know, something which I'm trying to improve. So I think I've got it almost there, but I just need to really work on the form in order to get it, you know, spot on. So that's a little tutorial on the human flag.
Scotland belongs to the Scottish.
I'm currently on my way to Dean's house. Now recently Dean had a kid. Well, Dean didn't have a kid, but his wife did. So since then, basically Dean hasn't had quite so much time to train. So he's found a few innovative ways to train in his own house. So obviously since you've had Lucas, you've been having to find different ways of training. So what kind of stuff have you been doing?
Well, because obviously I can't get out much anymore, I've just been putting him in the harness, doing some chin-ups, push-ups, squats, calf raises, and then some kettlebell stuff as well.
And how does he take to the exercise? I mean, does he like it?
He loves it. Any movement sends him asleep in no time. So by the time I've done like sort of 10 chin-ups or so, he's usually out cold, and then he'll sleep for hours after.
So this is one of those points in the video where we stick a bit of music on and there's a montage of exercises. Here it comes. Get out.
you can see, we finished now. He's knackered, I'm knackered, but that's not going to stop me. It's time for some serious parkour training.
You used to be serious about parkour. I'm going. So we're back in the car again. It's actually Easter Sunday, believe it or not, and we're headed to Burrs Country Park in Bury because I've heard that there's a parkour session going on where people are dressed as Easter bunnies. So we're going to find out what it's all about.
Well, this is Manchester's latest undercover spot. We just stumbled upon it like a couple of weeks ago. Pretty damn good. I mean, it looks like someone's already built us a park. Don't really know what's been happening. We found some evidence of tramps around here, so we think it could be due to them. Other than that, weasels.